Hello everybody, welcome to the Databases and Scholarly Articles workshop. We're going to show you a lot of the resources that are readily available for you to utilize when doing research. But quickly we're going to go through a lot of the backgrounds and everything you should know about databases and sources out that we have available. So today we're going to discuss popular and scholarly articles. It's going to be important to know the differences because sometimes your professors will ask for a certain amount of one or the other, or just all scholarly articles or all popular, but it's important for you to know how to distinguish one another. We're going to analyze why we use scholarly articles in research. We're going to explore searching library databases for peer-reviewed scholarly articles with keywords. So sometimes your professors would want you to use scholarly articles, but sometimes they want you to use those that have gone through the peer review process. And I'm going to show you how to find those specifically. So for popular and scholarly sources, let's talk more about like what are sources. Sources are evidence that we use to add validity to our claims. So can we claim facts without having any solid sources? Now when you go on the internet, if you go to your social media, message boards or whatever, can you just claim something without having any background on the topic? Yeah, because there's no real policing when it comes to you just putting your thoughts out there, right? But when it comes to academic papers, if you state something as true or state something that you believe in, you're going to have to like back it up with a lot of resources, preferably academic papers and resources and articles. That's what your professors are looking for. So where do you get your sources to answer your questions? Nobody wakes up in the morning knowing exactly the answer to everything. Usually we rely on information from others or information from mass media. If you, for instance, let's say you're on the verge of buying a new car, right? Who do you ask for advice about what kind of car or what type of car you should go get? If you think about it, maybe family or friends who have owned cars for like 10, 20 years, they can give you their advice. Sometimes you have an idea of what kind of car you want. Maybe it's something flashy, maybe something safe. Maybe you're trying to go to the electric vehicle route. Who would you talk to? Maybe you'll talk to one of the car dealership folks who can help you try to narrow down specifically what you're looking for, especially when it comes to like budgeting and everything, right? You don't just wake up knowing, oh, I automatically know what I'm going to get. Which workout should you do? Now, again, everybody's body is different. And everybody's goals are different. Maybe you're trying to work on stamina. Maybe you're trying to slim down. Maybe you're trying to bulk up. Knowing the type of workouts is really important. So you should do some research on that. Or you can also like go to the gym, talk to a fitness trainer, try to figure out what will work for you. Again, you don't just wake up knowing everything, knowing what works for your body. Sometimes you need the help of professionals to help. What about, how would you go about figuring out if red dye 40 in food is safe? Because this has been a big controversial topic over the past couple of years. Knowing if it's safe for like younger family members or for your kids. There's been a lot of nutritionists, pediatricians been saying it's been very harmful for children. But if I'm telling you that, you need to go out there and figure out why is that the case. Why is it that a lot of places in Europe are banning red dye 40, and why is it just now being looked into in America? Doesn't matter where you get your sources from. Well, kind of like what I mentioned before, where it's important to know where you're getting your information from when it comes to answering your own personal questions, your day-to-day routine or life goals. That's the same case for here. Like when it comes to supporting a topic that you're writing about, knowing where you're getting your information from is very important. So for instance, if you're writing a paper about trying to figure out if taxing the rich is important, it should be done, what's the pros, what's the cons, or should we, shouldn't we? And you open up the Washington Post and you see this opinion piece by the editor saying, think twice before changing the tax rules to soak billionaires. And then you read it and you realize, oh yeah, maybe they make a good point why we shouldn't tax billionaires. why would this be a bad example of why you shouldn't use this in your argument of whether we shouldn't tax billionaires more? Because if you didn't know, the person who's pictured right there is Jeff Bezos, and Jeff Bezos owns Amazon, but he also owns the Washington Post. So the editor or anybody, any journalist who works for the Washington Post, or any freelance writer who works for the Washington Post, probably shouldn't say that they should tax billionaires, because that's essentially taking money away from Jeff Bezos, right? So if that was the case, then yeah, that person would be out of a job. So using the Washington Post as a main source to argue that we shouldn't tax billionaires more, it's a really bad example. So don't just focus on just one source and then call it a day. You need to go about other sources, other news outlets, other magazines, other experts to see why, whether or not taxing the rich more is better or bad. So I kind of hinted that a lot of times your professors will want you to use popular sources in your research. Sometimes they want you to use scholarly sources. But how do you know the difference? It's two different, completely different categories. But if I told you to hold, if like you hold out your hand, both your hands, and in one hand you had a popular source, a popular article, let's say, and on the other hand you're holding a scholarly article. Now, just visually, what does that look like? If you're not great at, imagining it, then I have some examples. Let's say this is in your left hand and this is on your right. Just by looking at it, you can probably tell there's a huge difference between one and the other, right? Now, which one would you consider popular? Which one would you consider scholarly? Just by looking at it. Now, if you say this one is scholarly, that's correct. Just by looking at it, you can tell it looks like something that was written within the academic setting, right? And this one, very popular, because a lot of people, general population, could pick this up and just take a gander and think this is something they can easily pick up and read. This one looks very intimidating. This is something that probably college people, students, faculty, staff might enjoy reading. And you can sort of tell the difference because here we have a bunch of authors. I don't know, like 5, 6, 7 authors. This one's just one author, Sarah Churchwell, and this is about 7 or 8. And the majority of them have a PhD at the end, and also notes that which university they're from. What's another big giveaway? American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education up top. That kind of gives it away that it is a academic journal. It doesn't really say specifically. It doesn't always have to say, but the first paragraph underneath like the title page usually has a abstract, or sometimes called a description. And that paragraph is basically just a quick little summary of what the entire article is about. And the articles can go anywhere from like a couple pages to like 30, 40, 50 pages. So it's really important that you go ahead and jump in and read the abstract. That way you can tell whether or not you should invest your time into reading the rest of the pages. Popular sources, they do not have a abstract. They just have the article. Okay, so let's do another example. The benefits of education for K through 12 students versus teacher educator perspective on music integration in the preparation of pre-service elementary classroom teachers. Now, in this case, we only have one author each, right? We have Andrew Warner and Kristen Harney. This one has an image, this one does not, but this one has an abstract, this one doesn't. So that should give it away automatically whether or not which one is which. So this obviously is a popular source and this is a scholarly source. So if your professor says, I want nothing but scholarly sources, and you run into this, you can't use this for your paper. This is okay. Another big giveaway that the previous example didn't have is on the bottom where we see Harney K. That's the author of a citation that's used within the paper. So you have the source on the bottom as well. Some of them will have a separate abstract, or I'm sorry, not abstract, reference page, which is usually at the end. But the way people do citations is a little bit different depending on the type of citation. APA, Chicago, MLA. But that's also a big giveaway, because popular sources like this, they don't really have in-text citations or a reference page. But if you see those, then like 99% of the time, it's going to be a scholarly source. One more example. Is this a popular source or a scholarly source? Well, let's read the title. So for this instance, sleep positions and nocturnal body movements based on free living accelerometer recordings association with demographics, lifestyle, and insomnia symptoms. Versus how your sleep position could affect your health. So this is, again, like, it's a really big giveaway on certain things, whether or not it's a popular source or scholarly source. So this, obviously, New York Post, newspaper, magazines, those are typically popular sources, whereas this is coming from the NIH, National Library of Medicine, National Center of Biotechnology Information, National Science of Sleep is a journal. You can sort of tell up here after the journal list, and they give you volume, no issue number, but the year. Or here's the abstract. Quick little background on what the entire article is about. So this one you can tell, you can find a specific article on page 267 and it ends at 275. So that's about, what, 8 pages long? Not bad. But you really have to be invested on the topic itself to go through those 8 pages. That's the only thing. So you can sort of tell it's intimidating because it's a lot of information, whereas the New York Post here, this is just a screenshot, so I can't really show you the rest of the article, but it's probably just like a couple paragraphs long. It's not that long to go through it. I'm going to skip the other examples I have here because I'm pretty sure everybody here has it, but a quick little overview, recap of knowing the differences between a scholarly source and a popular source. Who are the authors? When you're noticing, you see a bunch of PhDs. When you notice that the authors are from universities, even if you notice like there's like more than one, the majority of the time is a scholarly source, because journalists and freelance writers, they focus on just the story itself. So the authors for scholarly sources are typically experts, professors, research, and believe it or not, a lot of the professors and researchers would have their students work on their research as well, so they'll get credited into it as well. So college students can also be authors for scholarly sources. Who are the audience? Typically other experts, other professors, other researchers, and students. Whereas the popular source, it's more so for the general public. What is the purpose of scholarly sources? It's to spread research and theory. Popular sources is more so to sell the story, sell the magazine, sell the newspaper. Language. What is the language for scholarly sources? Typically it's specialized, very discipline specific, aka jargon, which basically means that the terminology used in the paper is very discipline specific. It's very nuanced, where not anybody off the street can pick up the article and just understand what's being said. Whereas popular sources, it is written very general, so anybody who can pick up the article and can just follow along and just read and understand the story, understand the article. Sometimes your professors will state that, yes, I would like for you to use a bunch of scholarly sources in your research. They may tell you to utilize a couple that have gone through the peer review process, or maybe all of them have to have gone through the peer review process. And the peer review process basically means that when the article was published in a specific journal, the publisher hires a couple of experts on the topic that you're writing or the research that you're doing, and they look it over to make sure that there's no biases, there's no plagiarism, that the information is correct to the best of their knowledge. So those extra little steps that they take assures them that the information is top tier, and you always want information that is best of the best, because that will help validate your argument. So be careful with that. Just always double check the syllabus or the assignment details to make sure whether or not your professor definitely wants you to use peer-reviewed scholarly sources as opposed to just scholarly sources or scholarly articles. Oh, let me go back really quick. Popular sources, they don't really have a peer review process. Whenever a journalist or freelance writer submits their story, the only peer review process is the editor looks it over and they decide whether or not the article gets published. That's it. Accessibility, how and where. For scholarly sources, you need a lot of money because these databases, these scholarly journals, especially when it comes to digital, it's very expensive. You can typically get it for free at your school or any school that you've graduated as alumni. You can always go back and get access to the databases, get access to these scholarly sources. The reason we want you to use the ones that we have at Trinity, as opposed to just general Google searching or just general Google Scholar searching, is because we catered a lot of the specific disciplines and requests from the Trinity community to make sure we have information relevant to your studies. So what we have is going to be different than any other university, because maybe another university has a more focus on law, or another one may have a more focus on nursing, medicine. We try to cater to what you specifically need, so utilize it. It's free. The majority of the databases that you see in a little bit is paid through your tuition, so there shouldn't be an instance where you can't get access to a database or a scholarly article without checking our databases first. If not, I will show you a way to go about getting access for certain articles for free. Popular sources, where do you see magazines and newspapers nowadays? You don't really see it in stands as much. Maybe you see it at a grocery store, but a lot of times you can easily get access to an online subscription for like $10 or even less. There's always a bunch of deals. You can get access for an entire year. So why do we use scholarly sources in course assignments? Kind of hinted it when I was discussing the peer review process. The first one is mainly because your professor says so. So if the assignment requires you to do something, you have to follow directions. But with scholarly sources, they tend to be a lot more credible and a lot more trustworthy, especially if it's gone through the peer review process. Okay, so how do we find these articles? The layout here you see with a screenshot, it's a little bit different. This was our old layout, so I'm going to show you how it looks. When you log into Moodle, on the top there's usually a library tab. You just click it and it should take you here. If not, let's say you're at the general Trinity homepage, you can go under student experiences and click on library services, and it should take you here. This is a picture of the front of the library. So scroll down. I'm going to show you two different things. Here under Trinity Library and WROC resources, you see the databases A through Z articles right here, right? Under online resources. When you click on it, you can see all the databases we're currently subscribed to. So 163 databases we're currently subscribed to, and a lot of them are very specific to like a topic or something. So let's see, accounting, tax, banking, collection. This database contains essential publications for information about financial service industry, including accounting, tax, banking, and industry trends. So what if you're doing a paper on children's education? You're probably not going to want to utilize this database. Advanced technology, aerospace collection. This is all alphabetical order, so I'm just going to go, let's see, Middle East news stream, military database, music, performing arts collection. So not all these are subject or discipline specific. Some of them, they cover a lot of things. Like under here, the featured database list on the right side, these are the ones most used by students and faculty and staff here at Trinity Washington University. So under Academic Search Ultimate, you see that they cover a bunch of topics: anthropology, astronomy, biomedicine, engineering, health, law, literacy. It goes on. If I go scroll down a little bit more, you'll see there's another one, ProQuest Central. Same thing, business, health, medical, social science, education, science, technology, humanities. It goes on and on. What's great about these larger databases like ProQuest Central and Academic Search Ultimate is they cover a lot of subjects, a lot of disciplines. So when you're searching for a specific topic, they're more than likely going to have it. The results may be a little bit different though, so be careful with that. You can always search through multiple databases to see if you're missing anything. Use this page if your professor specifically states, okay, when you're doing the assignment, you can only use Academic Search Ultimate. If that's the case, you know exactly where to go. But let's say you're not limited to any specific database. What do? Go back to the Trinity Library homepage, scroll down, and under here where it says start your research here, you see the search box right here, right? Trinity Washington University Discovery Service. You could type in anything here, and not only is it going to search through all 163 databases, so it's going to search the business, the performing arts, the Middle Eastern stream, advanced technology, aerospace database, all these databases. It's also going to search through all the physical materials that we have at the library. So you can type in anything and you're going to get a lot of information because it's looking through everything basically. Let's say you kind of have an idea of what you want to do research on, and here we have a couple examples. Are teens who spend more time on social media more likely to suffer anxiety or depression? What impact has climate change had on coral reefs? What are the benefits and drawbacks of the Montessori method? Maybe this is for different classes. Maybe these are a couple ideas of what you want to focus on when it comes to searching. It all depends on what you have an interest in, or maybe your professor assigned you a specific topic. Now, I don't want you to treat this search box, or let's say if you're going through, let's say Academic Search Ultimate, and let me just show you an example of the different, well, not so different. Here is Academic Search Ultimate, and this is ProQuest Central. They don't look that different, right? But what's important is that they have these search boxes that you can do searches on. I don't want you to treat these search boxes, any of these, as a Google search where you can type in the entire research question and expect it to give you the right answers. It doesn't work that way. Sometimes you get really lucky and it does, but that's very rare. What I need you to do is when you focus on the research question that you write out, is I want you to focus on the major subjects of it and type it in. So who are we talking about? In this case, teens. How am I gonna do this? Oh, I guess I could highlight it. Okay, what about teens? What is the effect? Or what specifically is causing the effect? Social media, right? What do we want to know about teens and social media? We want to know if they suffer anxiety and or depression. So already you have 3 good subject terms and keywords to work with. So in this case, I'm going to try, let's do this discovery service. Let's do teens, do a quick search. That in itself is going to give me a lot of results. So if I just type in teens, I get 2,300,000 results, over 300,000 results. Always try to look for the advanced search button here, because now you can have these multiple field boxes, and here you can tell the system, the search boxes, can you find anything that has the term teens in it? But let's add in social media. By doing this, it's gonna narrow down the results. So teens and social media. So we went from 2.3 million to 367,000, a lot better. And you notice that teens are showing up. Let's see, teens, media is coming up, and not social media. Oh, this one, selfies and shelfies on Bookstagram, Bookstack, social media, and the mediation of Australian teen reading, the missing middle, reimagining future of tweens, teens, and public media. Here's an ebook, social media wellness, helping tweens and teens thrive in the unbalanced digital world. Okay, this is great. It's giving me some ideas, but we do want to see how it affects them mentally, right? So let's go back to that advanced search button, teens, social media, and what was the last one? Anxiety and or depression. Let's see, let's try depression. So now we're telling the system, look for any articles or titles or maybe abstracts that has the term teens, has the term social media, and it has to have the term depression. Let's see what the results were, because we went from 2.3 million to over 300. Now we're down to 90,000. This is great because we are narrowing down the results. The impact of social media use on depression, anxiety, and well-being for teens, young people, using hypnosis to build a strong sense of self. Associations between intentions for effective social media content choices and depressive symptoms in adolescents. A cross-sectional investigation of media response styles as moderators. This sounds really interesting. Now, once you find something that looks interesting, go ahead and click on it. Learn a little bit more about it. You can tell it's a peer review article. It's a journal article. Here's a title, published in the Psychology of Published Media. So this is the journal. When was it published? You get the entire date. They found this article that was published in a database, APA Psych Info. Here are the authors. What else? Here's that abstract, by the way. Remember, read this because it's a quick little overview, summary of what the article's about. And even better, they give you subjects and sometimes other keywords they can use to change up or add or take away your search results to give you something more specific to what you're looking for. Adolescent development, emotional states, intention, major depression, symptoms, well-being, media exposure, social media. So this looks like it's one of those cases where this looks like a potentially great article that I would love to download. Metadata only. Let's see. Yep, this is one of those cases where they are just giving us the information. They're not really sharing the actual article with us. I'm going to show you what to do if that's the case, but before I do that, I want to make sure that I find an article that we can actually open up. The Perfect Storm, a developmental social cultural framework for the role of social media in adolescent girls, body image concerns, and mental health. So sometimes they will give you multiple ways to access it. If you like PDF, like in this example, this is something you definitely want to read the abstract to, because we have a lot of pages to go through. This is a lot. Oh, and a big giveaway that it is a scholarly source. It's the reference page. This is all the sources that the researchers here use for their research. So we have $6.99. Oh, 22 pages of research done. But if you're not a big fan of the PDF and you want to see what other options there are, sometimes they'll give you an online full text option. I wonder if they did keep the option where you can hear it. Oh, here we go. Listen. So if you click on this, because they don't have this option in the PDF version, but if you click on it, it should. I don't know if you can hear it. It's still loading. Let's see.
The Perfect Storm, a developmental socio-cultural framework for the role of social.
So I don't know if you can hear it, but it's actually like reading the article for me. So if you're the type where you like to multitask, or if you're taking public transit and you want to hear the article as you're coming in to school or to work, or you're doing chores, like I do a lot of times, I tend to multitask. I can go ahead and hear the article and kind of like an audiobook, which is great, unlike the PDF where it just gives you the paper in itself, doesn't really give you the audiobook version. So keep an eye out for that option if you do want to utilize it. Let's go back to this one, the psychosocial determinants, the second result. Oh, no, was it? No. Yeah, association between intentions. This one unfortunately didn't give us an option to open up an article, but before you put in a request with us to actually look for it, just do a quick little search on Google. Sometimes you could just copy the title, paste it, and do a search. So association between here it is on APA PsycNet. Here it is. If I want to get access to it, I can purchase this PDF for $17.95, which is actually a pretty good deal, because I've seen articles where it's only $40 or $50, and that's just for one article. Imagine if you had to buy 5 of these articles. That adds up really fast. But do not do that, because you will have easy access to this where'd it go? This through our interlibrary loan program service. Sorry, you have every information that you need to give us, so we can go ahead and look for this information. So the title, the authors, the source, which is the journal title, the publication date, the digital object identifier. If this is available, also let us know about this, because this helps us find the information a lot faster. But how do you put an interlibrary loan request? So go back to the library homepage. On the left side where you see books, movies, and journals, you'll see interlibrary loan books or journal requests. You can also put in a request for books, but because we're working with institutions all around the country and sometimes out of the country, it takes weeks for us to get books. Whereas journal requests, we're essentially just asking other universities, institutions, companies, if they can give us the PDF of that article that you're looking for. So that's a lot easier, because that's as simple as a download or a screenshot or scanning, and they'll send it to you in a couple business days. Anything that has a star next to it, make sure you read and agree. Item not needed after. That's if you're like very in a crunch zone in terms of when you need the information. Hopefully you're not waiting last minute and procrastinating, but you don't have to put anything in here. If the lender charges a fee, what's the maximum you're willing to pay? Please put in 0, because we get thousands and thousands of these requests all the time, and we never had somebody pay for it, pay to get access to a PDF for free. I mean, you can go ahead and pay the $17 for this article, but I don't want you to. I want you to get it for free, because information education like this should be free. Status, I'm staff, but you pick whether you're graduate or undergraduate, and now all you have to do is just copy and paste. What is the title? Associations between blah 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 blah. Copy that. Article title. Who are the authors? I'm just gonna copy all this, paste it. Journal title. What was the source? Source was, this is the journal title right here, Psychology of Popular Media. Boom boom boom. If you're not sure, just put in as much information as you can, and we will figure it out. ISBN number or other number if known. This is the most important thing. If you remember to put this, it's great. We will thank you, because it's a lot faster for us to find the information for you. But if you don't, it's completely fine. We can work with a lot less information, but trust me, the more information you give us, the better. Once you go ahead and fill out as much as you can, make sure you sign and hit submit form. We get your form saying that you want this article and you need it, and we'll start working on getting it by reaching out to other universities, other institutions, and other companies to see if they have access to this for free, and they'll send it to us. And it's a scratch my back, scratch your back type of situation, because those companies and institutions that help us, sometimes we may have access to a specific database with articles or items and resources that they don't have. So then when they request something, we can share that with them. Okay, we talked about the databases. ProQuest, you want to use this option limited. Okay, already mentioned that. Ooh, publication finder. Sometimes your professor will want you to use just specific publications, like specific journals or maybe specific magazine or newspaper. You can actually you can actually find that specifically here under the Trinity Library WRC resources. Underneath the databases A through Z scholarly articles, we have the publication finder. Now you can search via databases, but let's say subjects. Like if you're not really sure what you're looking for, maybe you can see what kind of how many publications are on the topic of accounting and tax. Sorry, 515. If you're looking for something under ballet, there's one publication. If there's something about California, 2 publications. Calendars, show more, because there's a lot of different stuff. Diabetes nursing or diabetes. Let's see those 16 publications that touches on the topic of diabetes. African Journal of Diabetes Medicine, BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care, Diabetes and Metabolism Journal. So you can gain access to a lot of these through these databases and search for the topic of diabetes. Let's say you know specifically like a newspaper, magazine, journal that you're looking for. We can do something as easy as New York Times. And the first result, we see the New York Times, full access in these 2 databases, and they share the same date availability. So they have stuff that was published. Let me make that a little bit bigger. They have stuff from the New York Times published from 1980, specifically June 1st, 1980 to today. And same thing with this database. Sometimes it'll be a little bit different. Like, no. Let's try like maybe Washington Post. Oh, this one's a good one. Sort of. The Washington Post, ProQuest Central is a database, and they have stuff that was published from December 4th, 1996 till today. Same thing with ProQuest Global News Stream, but it's a little bit different here on the Regional Business News database. They only have stuff from 2003. February 13th, 2003 till wait, what's today? Today is April 12th. So there's a delay of about a month. They only have stuff from a month ago, July 12th, 2024. Interesting. So if there's something that you're looking for that's maybe in the 90s, your best bet is to look between these 2, because they have stuff from 1996. If you need something more present, like stuff that was published yesterday, again, these 2 are your best bet, not this one, because there is a month delay in getting access to certain articles. So I'm just going to quickly choose on one of them. You can do a search within the publication with a topic that you're looking for, or you can view a specific issue. So let's go back in time. Let's do something that was published in 1990. Let's do, I don't know, February. Let's do Valentine's, 1990. And these articles were published on that date specifically. And anything with full text, you get immediate access to it. Corrections, blah, 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 blah. Let's click on it. Full text, and here it is. Quick little article published in the Washington Post over 30 years ago. What's great about a lot of our databases, it has a built-in citation generator. Just be mindful that it is not perfect. So here are all the different APAs. We're currently in the 7th edition. Chicago, MLAs. Pick the right one and it should create it for you. Just be careful because, like I said, just because the work's been done for you, like these citation generators, is not perfect. So if you just believe that's how it's supposed to look, that's not a good enough case when it comes out wrong. Ooh, search tips. Take your research idea and break it into keywords. I mentioned this before. Do not type in the entire research question. Just use those main ideas, main keywords and subjects. Keyword searching is your friend. Use 2 to 4 keywords per search is best. Yep, those search boxes that I showed you, the more you keep putting in those search boxes, the more narrow your results will be, and sometimes it will be way too narrow that you're not going to get any results. Use search facets in the advanced search screen. Ooh, yes. Advanced search function in the academic search ultimate, you see you have a bunch of stuff to play around with. Full text option, what that does, it takes away any article that doesn't, or any source that doesn't have immediate access to it. So if you're noticing you're getting a lot of articles that look great but you're not getting the PDF or the HTML link or anything, then if you click on it, it's going to take all those away. Here's that peer review button. So if you're looking for here, publication type, academic journal, those are scholarly sources, right? If you're looking for the scholarly sources that has gone through the peer review process, you're going to click that. So then everything you're reading is a scholarly source, but it's gone through the peer review process, and that's going to satisfy the requirements of your paper if your professor states that I want peer review scholarly articles. Languages, document type, publication date. Sometimes in the assignment, your professors will state that you can only use stuff that was published within the last 10 years, 20 years, 5 years. Sometimes that's really important to know, because if you're doing something on a topic of like cell phones and teens, was not a thing in the early 90s or 80s or 70s. So keep it within the last 5-10 years makes more sense, because a lot more research has been done on the effects of cell phones and teenagers, right? ProQuest Central, again, look for the advanced search function. Looks like we're already on it. Here's that full text button. Here's the peer review button. Publication dates, you can put in last couple months, 3 years, specific date range. Source type, audio, books, dissertations, magazine, newspapers, scholarly journals. Document type, you can be very specific about what you're looking for. Let's go back to just doing a search for teens. Yeah, this is the Trinity Washington University Discovery Search function. Remember, when you search here, it's searching through all 160 plus databases, but also what we physically have at the library. So you can see like the actual books, or maybe the DVDs, or the actual physical newspapers and magazines that we have. Here's the advanced search function, but let's see, they kind of have some stuff here available already. So here's that full text button. If I click on that, now we go from over 2 million to under 1.3 million, 1.4 million. If I want stuff within the last 5 years, source type, show me all the source types: academic journals, newspapers, magazines. There's about close to 5,000 ebooks on the topic of teens, about 111 physical books that we have at the library. Click on advanced search to see more stuff that you can play around with to make sure that you're getting stuff that's more relevant to what you're looking for. So what about teens? Let me show you that option actually. Teens and cell phones. So teens and cell phones, we get about 2,800 results within the last 5 years. Full text option only. Let's go back to advanced search. Let's say those couple thousands I'm not really happy with. That's if we want to expand our results, what we can do is add more terminology that's very similar to what you're searching for, because once you open up an article, you may notice that these researchers aren't using the term teen. Sometimes they might call the subject adolescent or young adult, youth or teenagers. So let's click this one because now we're telling the system that, hey, can you look for anything about teens and cell phones? Or if you find anything about adolescents and cell phones, or youth and cell phones, teenagers and cell phones, adolescents and cell phones, that should give us a lot more results. So let's do a search. And we went from like what, 2,000 to like 10,000 now, because we're telling the system, hey, we're not limiting ourselves to just teens in our search results. We have a bunch of other terms that maybe is out there that we want to show up in our search results, which is great. Now we have a bunch that we almost potentially missed out on. Some advanced search tips: take advantage of the advanced search tab, use limiters like full text peer review option, publication dates. Ooh, use quotation marks. This is great. If I type in Montessori method, let's see how many results I'm gonna get. I get about 23,000 results, but when we type in just general keywords, it's searching through articles or any sources that have the term Montessori, but also anything that has the term method. Now, if we're looking for something for results where it just specifically gives us results about Montessori methods, then you have to put it in quotes. So by doing that, it should reduce the how many results we have. So we go from 23,000 to 6,498, which is great because I know that the results are going to be something relevant to what I'm looking for. I think I saw the other option is to try truncation using asterisks to include all possible ends of a word. So when you do a search for like counseling, and you want to make sure that other terms like counselor, counselors come up, you notice that everything up until, let's say, COUNSEL, all of these words have those similar ones. But if you just put in counsel and an asterisk next to it, which on your keyboard, if you hold down shift and press the number 8, that's where you get the asterisk. It'll automatically fill in the blank for you. So let's try that. Let's do counseling. Let's see how many results I get. So now it's searching anything and everything about counseling. Over 6 million results. What if we take a couple of those letters out? Now by doing this, hopefully it's going to include counselors, counsel. Yeah, 8 million results. So 2 more million was not that did not show up here. So you don't have to like do counseling or counselor or blah 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 blah. You can just put in, like I showed you, counsel asterisk. What else am I missing? Use the type of research you're looking for as a keyword. So if you're doing search for, let's longitudinal case study, focus groups, group interviews, surveys, you can put that in one of those search boxes and it's gonna hopefully give you the result as well. Select abstract as a field to search for keyword to ensure that it's a main topic, not of the paper, not just a brief mention, is also a good thing to try out. But I think with everything before this, it should be more than enough for you to get some good results. And in case nothing comes up, then I want you to reach out to us. If at any point you have any questions or concerns, feel free to give us a call or email us at trinitylibrary@trinitydc.edu.